Chicago, December 2024. The city hummed under a blanket of snow, its skyline glittering against the dusk. Kaitlyn West, 32, strode through the revolving doors of her startup's sleek downtown office, her heels clicking on polished marble. As the CFO of CyberPeak, a rising cybersecurity firm, she'd built a reputation for razor-sharp instincts and unshakable calm. But tonight, her world was about to fracture. Kaitlyn's day had been a marathon, back-to-back meetings with investors, a pitch for a $15 million funding round, and a last-minute cancellation that sent her home early. She pulled her coat tighter against the Lake Michigan wind, her mind replaying the day's wins. CyberPeak was her baby, co-founded with her husband, Evan, 34, the charismatic CMO, and their business partner, Lucas, the CTO. Together, they'd turned a garage idea into a tech empire. Or so she thought. Her penthouse in River North was dark when she arrived, the only light a faint glow from the living room. Evan wasn't due back from a marketing conference until tomorrow, and their son, Timmy, was with Evan's parents for the weekend. Kaitlyn dropped her keys on the counter, expecting silence. Instead, hushed voices stopped her cold. "She's clueless, man," the offshore account said. "We moved the $15 million after the funding closes." It was Evan, his voice low but unmistakable. "Rex says it's clean. Her accident will look like a car crash. No one'll dig deeper." That was Lucas, his tone smug. Kaitlyn's breath caught. Her heart pounded as she crept toward the living room, hiding behind the half-open door to the walk-in closet. Through the crack, she saw Evan pacing, his phone on speaker. Lucas lounged on the couch, sipping bourbon. A third voice, gruff, unfamiliar, crackled through. "Price is $200,000 now," the voice, presumably Rex, said. "Pay up or I walk." Evan cursed under his breath. "You're bleeding us dry, Rex. Just make it quick." "Quick and clean," Rex replied. "Her car goes off the road, maybe a gas leak. Done by Christmas." Kaitlyn's knees buckled. She pressed a trembling hand to her mouth, stifling a gasp. Her husband, the man she'd married 7 years ago, who'd cried when Timmy was born, was planning to kill her. For money. For her company. Lucas, her friend since college, was in on it. The betrayal cut deeper than the threat. She fumbled for her phone, hitting record, capturing every damning word. "We split her shares 50-50, Lucas said, swirling his glass. "Investors won't blink. Kaitlyn's the brains, but will spin it. Grieving partners carry on her legacy." Evan smirked. "She's too busy crunching numbers to notice. By the time she does, she'll be gone." The call ended. Kaitlyn's vision blurred with tears, but rage steadied her. She slipped out as Evan and Lucas moved to the kitchen, their laughter trailing like a knife in her back. She grabbed her keys and drove, no destination, just away. Her phone buzzed, Evan texting, "Miss you, babe. Home tomorrow." The lie made her stomach churn. She pulled into a dimly lit motel on the city's edge, paying cash to avoid a trace. In the musty room, she replayed the recording, each word a fresh wound. A flash of their wedding day, Evan's vows, his hand in hers, hit her like a punch. How had it come to this? She trusted him, built a life with him, and now he was plotting her death for a payout. Kaitlyn's mind raced. Confronting them was too risky, they'd deny it, and Rex was already in motion. She needed proof, ironclad, undeniable. She opened her laptop and emailed Sara, her best friend and a freelance cyber investigator who'd once exposed a corporate embezzler. "Emergency. Meet me at the motel on Cicero. Bring your hacking kit. Don't tell anyone." Sara arrived within the hour, her dark curls tucked under a beanie, her eyes sharp with concern. "Kaitlyn, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." Kaitlyn played the recording. Sara's jaw tightened with every word. "Those snakes," she spat. "Evan? Lucas? I'll bury them." "Not yet," Kaitlyn said, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "We need evidence, bank records, emails, anything tying them to Rex. If we go to the police now, they'll lawyer up and walk." Sara nodded, cracking her knuckles. "Give me 24 hours. I'll dig into Lucas's cloud. He's sloppy with passwords. If they're moving money, I'll find it." Kaitlyn's phone buzzed again, a text from an unknown number. "Careful, Ms. West. Some accidents aren't accidents." Her blood ran cold. "Rex? Someone else?" She showed Sara, who frowned. "They're watching you. We need to move fast." Kaitlyn paced the room, her mind spinning. She couldn't go home, couldn't trust anyone at CyberPeak. But she wasn't helpless. She'd built this company from nothing, outsmarted competitors, and closed deals others couldn't. Evan and Lucas had underestimated her, and that was their first mistake. "I'm not running," Kaitlyn said, her voice hardening. "They want me gone? I'll make them regret it legally." "Sara, find the money trail. I'll handle the company." Sara hesitated. "Kaitlyn, this Rex guy sounds dangerous. What if he's not just their hired hand?" Kaitlyn's eyes narrowed. Then we'll expose him too. No one's untouchable. As Sara set up her laptop, Kaitlyn drafted a cryptic post for X. Trust is a currency. Spend it wisely. #ChicagoDeceptions. She didn't hit send yet. It was a spark, one she'd ignite when the time was right. For now, she needed to stay one step ahead. Her phone lit up again, Evan calling. She let it go to voicemail, his cheerful, "Hey, babe," twisting the knife deeper. She clenched her fists, channeling her pain into resolve. This wasn't just about survival. It was about justice. Outside, snow fell harder, blanketing Chicago in silence. But inside that motel room, a storm was brewing, one that would shake CyberPeak to its core. The motel room smelled of stale coffee and damp carpet, but Kaitlyn West barely noticed. Her laptop screen glowed in the dim light, casting shadows across her determined face. It was 2 a.m. December 2025, and Chicago slept under a fresh layer of snow. But Kaitlyn was wide awake, her mind a battlefield of rage and strategy. Evan and Lucas had betrayed her, plotting to steal her $15 million company and stage her death. She wouldn't let them win. Sara, her cyber investigator friend, sat cross-legged on the bed, her fingers flying across her keyboard. "Lucas is sloppy," she muttered, eyes locked on her screen. "His cloud backup uses his dog's name as a password. Amateur." She was digging for proof, bank records, emails, anything linking Evan and Lucas to their hired hand, Rex, and the offshore account they'd mentioned. Kaitlyn paced, clutching her phone. The mysterious text from last night, "Careful, Ms. West. Some accidents aren't accidents," gnawed at her. Was it Rex? A warning from someone else? She couldn't afford to guess. "Find the money trail, Sara. That's our leverage." "Got something," Sara said, her voice sharp. She turned her laptop to show a string of encrypted emails between Lucas and an alias, r.shadow. One message detailed a $100,000 transfer to a Cayman Islands account, labeled consulting fee. Another mentioned the West problem and a deadline, December 25th. Kaitlyn's stomach twisted. Christmas was 10 days away. "Rex," Kaitlyn whispered. "It has to be him." Sara nodded, but her brow furrowed. "There's more." Lucas sent a side message to another contact, someone called Viper. "It's vague, but it sounds like he's hedging his bets, maybe setting Evan up to take the fall." Kaitlyn froze. Lucas is double-crossing Evan? The idea sparked a grim satisfaction. If her enemies were turning on each other, she could use it. But it also meant the plot was messier than she'd thought. "Keep digging. We need names, dates, accounts, everything." Sara hesitated. "Kaitlyn, this Viper guy, what if he's the one who texted you? Rex might not be the only threat." The thought sent a chill down Kaitlyn's spine. She pushed it aside, focusing on her next move. She couldn't confront Evan or Lucas yet without hard evidence. They'd deny everything. But she could slow them down. As CFO, she had access to CyberPeak's financial systems. She logged into the company's secure portal and drafted a memo citing audit concerns to freeze all major transactions. It was a legal move, one that would spook investors and make Evan sweat without tipping her hand. "Done," Kaitlyn said, hitting send. "That'll stall their offshore transfers." Sara smirked. "You're playing chess while they're playing checkers." But the game was far from won. Kaitlyn's phone buzzed, another text from the unknown number, "Motel's a bad hideout. Move." Her pulse spiked. She rushed to the window, peering through the blinds. The parking lot was empty, snow piling on abandoned cars. Was someone watching? Rex? Viper? "Sara, pack up. We're leaving. Now." They grabbed their gear and slipped out the back, Sara's car idling in the alley. As they sped toward a new safe spot, a friend's vacant apartment in Wicker Park, Kaitlyn's mind raced. She needed more than digital proof. She needed to turn the tables, make Evan and Lucas panic. An idea hit her, a bluff. Using a burner phone, she sent Lucas a text from an anonymous number. "Rex wants $300,000 now. Pay or he talks." She showed Sara, who grinned. "You're evil. I love it." Minutes later, Sara's laptop pinged. "Jackpot. Lucas just emailed Evan, freaking out about the price hike. Evan's blaming him for hiring that psycho. They're cracking." Kaitlyn allowed herself a small smile, but it faded fast. Her phone lit up with Evan's name. She let it go to voicemail, his voice dripping with fake concern. "Babe, where are you?" "I'm home early. Call me." The lie stung, but it also fueled her. He thought she was clueless, a pawn in his game. He was wrong. At the Wicker Park apartment, Sara uncovered more, a contract between Lucas and Rex hidden in a deleted folder outlining disposal services for KW. Kaitlyn's hands shook as she read it. But there was a twist. Rex had forwarded the contract to Viper with a note, "Double the pay, I'll flip." Rex wasn't just a hired hand, he was playing both sides, maybe more. Sara, can you trace Viper? Kaitlyn asked. Not yet. He's using a VPN bouncing through servers in Russia. But I'll get him. Kaitlyn nodded, her resolve hardening. She opened X and typed, "Loyalty's a lie when money talks. Watch your back, Chicago. #Chicago Deceptions." She hit post. Within minutes, it had 500 reposts, strangers speculating about corporate scandals. The buzz was her weapon, a way to rattle Evan and Lucas without breaking cover. But as the post spread, her burner phone buzzed with a new message, "Nice post. Too bad it won't save you." Attached was a photo, a blurry shot of Kaitlyn at the motel taken hours ago. Someone had been there, watching. "Sara," Kaitlyn said, her voice steady despite the fear. "We're not just fighting Evan and Lucas. There's a bigger player out there." Sara's eyes met hers, fierce. "Then we take them all down." Outside, Chicago's lights flickered through the snow. Kaitlyn wasn't running anymore. She was hunting. Chicago's Wicker Park apartment was a fortress of shadows, its bare walls lit only by the glow of Sara's laptop. Kaitlyn West stood by the window watching snow swirl in the pre-dawn light of December 2025. Her heart raced, not from fear but from resolve. Evan and Lucas, her husband and business partner, were plotting to steal her $15 million cybersecurity startup, CyberPeak, and stage her death. Now, a blurry photo from an unknown number taken of her at the motel proved someone was watching. Rex, their hired hand, or Viper, the mysterious contact Sara had uncovered, was closing in. Kaitlyn wasn't running anymore. She was fighting. Sara, her cyber investigator friend, looked up from her screen. "Lucas is spiraling. Your bluff text worked. He's emailing Evan, demanding they ditch Rex." "Evan's not biting. They're at each other's throats." Kaitlyn nodded, her mind churning. Her anonymous text, posing as Rex demanding $300,000, had cracked their alliance. But the photo on her burner phone, a grainy shot of her at the motel, meant time was short. She needed to escalate to turn their plan against them. "Sara, any luck tracing Viper?" "Nothing solid," Sara said, rubbing her eyes. "His VPN's a maze, Russia, Singapore, back to Chicago. But I found a deleted chat fragment. Viper's pushing Rex to speed things up. I think he's the real money behind this." Kaitlyn's jaw tightened. A bigger player meant bigger risks, but also an opportunity. If she could expose Viper, she'd unravel the whole scheme. First, she needed to disappear on her terms. "I'm staging an accident," she said. "If they think I'm gone, they'll make mistakes. We'll catch them in the act." Sara's eyes widened. "You're faking your death?" "Kaitlyn, that's next level." "It's our best shot," Kaitlyn said. "I'll ditch my car, make it look like a crash. You keep digging into Viper. We need his real name." Kaitlyn contacted Danny, a mechanic she'd once helped after CyberPeak donated to his community center. Over a secure call, she outlined her plan: stage a car accident on a quiet road outside Chicago, no fire, no danger, just a convincing scene. "Leave my purse in the driver's seat," she instructed. "Make it look like I walked away dazed. I'll pay cash." Danny hesitated. "This legal, Ms. West?" "Completely," Kaitlyn assured him. "I'm protecting my company. Trust me." By midnight, it was done. Danny texted a photo, Kaitlyn's sedan parked off a snowy road, hazard lights flashing, purse visible through the window. No damage, no foul, just enough to spark questions. Kaitlyn wired him $5,000 from a prepaid account and ditched her burner phone for a new one. She and Sara relocated to a basement Airbnb in Logan Square, paid for in cash. The next morning, Chicago buzzed with news: CyberPeak CFO missing after car found abandoned. Evan played the grieving husband on local TV, his voice cracking as he begged Kaitlyn to come home. Kaitlyn watched the clip on Sara's laptop, her stomach churning. "He's good," she muttered. "Too good." Sara smirked, scrolling X. "The internet's not buying it. Your #Chicago Deceptions post is at 10K reposts. People are calling Evan shady CEO. Someone even memed his press conference with the snake emoji." Kaitlyn allowed a brief smile. Her cryptic X post, "Loyalty's a lie when money talks," was a calculated jab, and it was working. But the victory was short-lived. Sara's laptop pinged with an intercepted call between Lucas and Rex. "She's gone, right?" Lucas hissed. "Your job's done." "Not yet," Rex growled. "Her car's empty. No body, no payout. And Viper's pissed, she's still posting on X." Kaitlyn's blood ran cold. Rex knew she was alive. Worse, Viper was watching her online. She grabbed her new burner phone and checked X. A new message from an anonymous account waited. "Cute trick, Kaitlyn. Cars don't hide you." Her hands shook as she showed Sara. "He's taunting you," Sara said. her voice low. Viper's closer than we thought. Kaitlyn's mind raced. The staged accident had bought time, but not enough. She needed to push harder, make Evan and Lucas expose themselves. Using her new burner, she sent another anonymous text to Lucas. Rex knows you're cheating Evan. Pay $500,000 or he leaks everything. She hit send, her pulse pounding. Minutes later, Sara's screen lit up. Lucas had forwarded the text to Evan, accusing him of screwing up the deal. Evan's reply was furious. You hired Rex, you idiot. Fix this. Their trust was crumbling, just as Kaitlyn planned. But Sara's next find stopped Kaitlyn cold. A hidden email from Viper to Rex, buried in Lucas's cloud, mentioned CyberPeak's competitor, and a $2 million bonus if the CFO is out by New Year's. Viper wasn't just a hired gun, he was tied to a rival company, one that wanted CyberPeak's tech and Kaitlyn's head. Sara, can you ID the competitor? Kaitlyn asked, her voice steady despite the stakes. I'm trying, Sara said. Their servers are locked tight, but I've got a lead, a shell company linked to Viper's payments. Give me a day. Kaitlyn nodded, her resolve unshaken. She opened X and posted again. Truth cuts deeper than lies. Chicago's watching. Hashtag Chicago Deceptions. The post exploded 50K reposts in an hour, with users tagging CyberPeak and demanding answers. The pressure was mounting. But as the snow fell outside, her burner phone buzzed with another message. Logan Square's cozy. Won't be for long. Attached was a photo of the Airbnb's front door, taken minutes ago. Someone was outside. Sara, Kaitlyn whispered, grabbing her coat. They found us. The Logan Square Airbnb was a trap, its silence shattered by the photo on Kaitlyn West's burner phone. A shot of the front door, taken minutes ago. Snow fell outside, but inside, Kaitlyn's pulse raced. It was December 2025, and her enemies, her husband Evan, business partner Lucas, their hired hand Rex, and the shadowy Viper, were closing in. They'd planned to steal her $15 million cybersecurity startup, CyberPeak, and stage her death. Kaitlyn had faked her disappearance, turning their plot against them. Now, with Viper tracking her every move, she had to strike back. Hard. Sara, her cyber investigator friend, stuffed her laptop into a backpack. We're out of here, she whispered, eyes darting to the door. Viper's not bluffing. Kaitlyn grabbed her coat, her mind sharp despite the fear. The photo proved Viper knew her location, but her hashtag Chicago Deceptions X posts, now at 80K reposts, had rattled Evan and Lucas. Their intercepted emails showed them bickering, with Lucas accusing Evan of botching the deal with Rex. Kaitlyn's staged car accident had bought time, but Viper's link to a rival company, offering $2 million to remove her, meant the clock was ticking. She needed to end this legally. They slipped out a back window, landing in a snow-dusted alley. Sara's car waited, and they sped to a new hideout, a friend's loft in Pilsen, secured with cash. Inside, Sara pulled up her latest find, a decrypted email from Viper to Rex, naming the rival, NexusTech, a cybersecurity giant desperate for CyberPeak's cutting-edge encryption. Viper was their fixer, promised $2 million to bury Kaitlyn and hand NexusTech her company's secrets. NexusTech, Kaitlyn said, her voice cold. They're behind it all. Sara nodded. Viper's real name's still a ghost, but I've got bank records. $500K from NexusTech to Rex's shell company. It's enough to tie them together. Kaitlyn's plan crystallized. She'd return not as a fugitive but as a weapon. CyberPeak's investors were meeting tomorrow to discuss the audit concerns she'd triggered as CFO, freezing the company's accounts. She'd infiltrate the meeting, expose Evan and Lucas, and force their confession. But she needed a disguise. Viper was watching, and Rex was on edge. Sara dug through a closet, pulling out a dark wig and glasses. You're going full spy, she grinned. Kaitlyn slipped on the disguise, transforming into Claire Reed, an auditor from a fictional firm. She practiced a clipped accent, her nerves steadying. This was her boardroom, her game. The next day, Kaitlyn strode into CyberPeak's downtown office, her wig itching but her confidence unshaken. The investor meeting buzzed with tension. Evan and Lucas sat at the head of the table, pale and sweating. Kaitlyn, as Claire, took a seat, a hidden recorder in her blazer. Investors grilled Evan about the frozen accounts, their trust fraying. "Gentlemen," Kaitlyn began, her voice cool, "our audit uncovered discrepancies. $100K transferred to an offshore account, tied to a consulting fee for one our shadow." She slid printed emails across the table, courtesy of Sara's hacks. Gasps rippled through the room. Evan's face drained of color. "This is a mistake," he stammered. "Kaitlyn handles finances. She's missing. We're devastated." Lucas jumped in too fast. "Yeah, we'd never. Maybe it's a hack." His eyes darted to Evan, betraying panic. Kaitlyn leaned forward, her disguise holding. "We also found a contract for disposal services targeting KW Care to explain, Mr. CTO?" The room froze. An investor slammed the table. "What the hell is this, Lucas?" Lucas cracked, his voice shrill. It was Evan's idea. He hired Rex to frame Kaitlyn, to steal her shares. "I just followed orders." He shoved a tablet at Evan, showing bank transfers in Evan's name, a setup Kaitlyn hadn't expected. Lucas was throwing Evan under the bus. Evan lunged at Lucas, shouting, "You lying rat! You signed the contract." Security pulled them apart as investors demanded answers. Kaitlyn's recorder caught every word, her heart pounding with grim triumph. But the victory was cut short. Rex burst into the room, his leather jacket stark against the corporate sheen. "Enough games," he growled, eyes scanning the crowd. "Where's Kaitlyn West?" Kaitlyn's breath hitched, but her disguise held. She stood, voice steady as Claire. "I'm the auditor." "Who are you?" Rex's gaze lingered, suspicion flickering. "Tell Ms. West her stunt's over. Viper's done waiting." He tossed a USB drive on the table. "Proof's there. Offshore accounts, NexusTech's orders. Give it to her, or I burn you all." He stormed out, leaving chaos. Kaitlyn pocketed the USB, slipping away as security swarmed. Back at the Pilsen loft, Sara plugged in the drive. It held everything. NexusTech's payments, Viper's emails, even a voice memo of Evan begging Rex to finish the job. But one file chilled Kaitlyn, a list of targets, with her name at the top and Sara's just below. "They're coming for both of us," Kaitlyn said, her voice steel. Sara's face paled, but she nodded. Kaitlyn uploaded the voice memo to X, captioning it, "Lies unravel. Justice speaks. #Chicago Deceptions." It hit 150K reposts in hours, with users tagging police and NexusTech. Chicago was ablaze with outrage, but Viper's silence worried her. He was still out there. Her burner phone buzzed, a final message. Boardroom was bold. "Pilsen won't hide you." Attached was a live feed of the loft street, a black SUV idling outside. Viper wasn't just watching. He was here. "Sara," Kaitlyn said, grabbing her bag. "We end this now." The Pilsen loft was a cage, its windows framing a black SUV idling in the snowy Chicago street. Kaitlyn West gripped her burner phone, the live feed from Viper, a shadowy fixer tied to rival NexusTech, burning into her. It was December 2025, and her enemies had pushed her to the edge. Her husband Evan, business partner Lucas, and their hired hand Rex had plotted to steal her $15 million cybersecurity startup, CyberPeak, and stage her death. Kaitlyn had outmaneuvered them, faking her disappearance and exposing their scheme at an investor meeting. But Viper's presence outside meant the fight wasn't over. Sara, her cyber investigator friend, zipped her backpack, her face pale but fierce. "They're here," she said, nodding at the target list from Rex's USB, naming them both. "We can't run again." Kaitlyn's mind raced. Her #Chicago Deceptions X posts, now at 200K reposts, had turned Chicago against Evan and Lucas, with users demanding justice. The USB's evidence, NexusTech's $500,000 payments, Evan's voice memo begging Rex to finish the job, was damning. But Viper was the wild card. A ghost who'd tracked them from motel to loft. Kaitlyn wouldn't let him win. "We're going to the police," she said. "Now." They slipped out a fire escape, the SUV's headlights slicing through the snow. Sara's car was blocks away, but a cab idled nearby. They dove in, Kaitlyn directing the driver to a precinct in the loop. Her burner buzzed. A final message from Viper. "No cops save you." She ignored it, forwarding the USB's files to a trusted contact at the Chicago PD. A detective Sara had vetted. At the precinct, Kaitlyn and Sara met Detective Ruiz, a no-nonsense veteran. Kaitlyn handed over the USB and her recordings from the investor meeting, where Lucas had framed Evan for the offshore transfers, and Evan had accused Lucas of hiring Rex. "Evan West and Lucas Carter conspired to defraud CyberPeak and eliminate me," Kaitlyn said, her voice steady. "NexusTech funded it through Viper. It's all here. Bank records, emails, their own words." Ruiz's eyes narrowed as he reviewed the evidence. "This is explosive. We'll move fast. But who's Viper?" "We don't know his real name," Sara admitted. "But he's NexusTech's enforcer. He's outside our last safe house." Ruiz radioed for a patrol to sweep Pilsen, then turned to Kaitlyn. "You're lucky to be alive, Ms. West. Stay here. You're under protection." Hours later, the precinct buzzed with action. Police arrested Evan and Lucas at their homes, charging them with conspiracy, fraud, and attempted murder. The USB's voice memo, paired with Kaitlyn's recordings, was airtight. Lucas, desperate to save himself, confessed to hiring Rex but claimed Evan masterminded the plot. Evan, cornered, admitted to the offshore account but pinned the murder scheme on Lucas. Their blame game only tightened the noose. Rex was trickier. Police tracked him to a warehouse in West Town, but he surrendered without a fight, cutting a deal to expose Viper. His testimony confirmed NexusTech's role, naming Viper as Marcus Vale, a former Black Ops contractor hired to cripple CyberPeak. Vale had vanished, but Rex's evidence, bank transfers, and encrypted chats tied him to NexusTech's CEO, who faced charges for corporate espionage. Kaitlyn watched the arrests unfold on a precinct TV, relief washing over her. The betrayal still stung, Evan's fake tears, Lucas's smug grin, but she'd won. CyberPeak's board reinstated her as CFO, unfreezing the accounts. Investors, shaken but impressed, pledged new funding, hailing Kaitlyn as a hero. But Kaitlyn wasn't done. She met with a family whose small tech startup had been ruined by NexusTech's earlier hacks orchestrated by Lucas. Their story, losing their home, their dreams, hit close to Kaitlyn's heart. She donated $7 million of her CyberPeak shares to a fund for cybercrime victims, starting with that family. At a quiet meeting, the mother's tearful "thank you" was worth more than any boardroom win. With Sara as the new CTO, Kaitlyn relaunched CyberPeak, focusing on affordable encryption for small businesses. The company soared, its mission a beacon for those burned by greed. Kaitlyn posted on X, "Betrayal breaks you, but justice rebuilds. Fight smart, Chicago. #Chicago Deceptions." The post hit 300K reposts, inspiring stories of resilience across the city. Viper, Marcus Vale, remained a ghost, his SUV long gone from Pilsen. Kaitlyn knew he might resurface, but she wasn't afraid. She'd faced betrayal and won, not with vengeance but with proof. At home, she hugged her son, Timmy, tighter, promising to rebuild their life. Evan's lies couldn't touch that. As snow blanketed Chicago, Kaitlyn stood on her balcony, the skyline glittering. The city had tested her, but she'd emerged stronger. This wasn't just her victory, it was a call to anyone betrayed, daring them to fight back, fair and square.